We got 7 o'clock. I will call the town board meeting for March 19th, or I'm sorry, 16th, 2020 to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. What are we changing here, Patrick?
Mr. Chair, if it pleases the board, I would like to add a discussion on the coronavirus and emergency management procedures specific to our administrative offices.
Are we saying 9A?
Yes, please.
Is that it?
For me, yes.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Changes, deletions?
No. I'll move to approve the additions to the agenda and the agenda as outlined.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes of the March 2nd, 2020 meeting.
Payment of the bills first.
Oh, no, we don't want to pay those.
Do you want to pay the bills?
Did you sign them?
I did.
Did somebody sign them?
I signed, well, you signed them.
All right. Motion to approve.
Move to approve payment of the bills.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, now item 4, approval of the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of the March 2nd, 2020 meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 5 is a consent agenda item. We have 5. If no one has any issues with them, I would look for a motion to approve.
I will move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 6 is old business. We have none. So item number 7 is a public hearing for the stable properties on Portland Avenue. I'm going to start this. We're going to need a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion to open the public portion.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, Tom, you guys gonna give us a quick overview here?
I'll do my best. This is aerial photo showing the location of the property. This is property known as the White Bear Stable off of Portland Avenue right here. It's a 60-foot wide access off of Portland that served this 22-acre former stable. Good portion of it is wetland. The upland portion of the property amounts to about 7 acres. This dark line I'm showing, currently there's a trail that dead ends right here, and a trail going around the perimeter of Deer Meadow Park. With this development, we hope to connect these two with a paved trail through the project. So the property line ends right here. This is the stable property. This would be town park property where a portion of the trail would be. So this is a property with quite a bit of history to it. The town has looked at a number of development proposals. We've seen several things over the last 15 years, anywhere from 14 single-family homes. That was a project that was got through preliminary plat approval, but was not approved at final plat after a dispute or whatever with the property owner and the builder at that time. Seen other proposals for 18 twin homes, none of which were approved by the town, or at least finally platted by the town. There was a issue with property owners. Long story short, the town ended up purchasing the property, and the board has decided to plat the property. So the proposed plat we're staring at tonight is a 8-lot single-family subdivision. Morgan Trail would be extended to a cul-de-sac here, looping back around out to Portland Avenue. Sewer and water would be extended, as would the street. Existing home on the property is in this area right here, and then home lots around the cul-de-sac. You can see a lot of contour lines here. It drops down, property drops down, going from Portland into the property to the west here. It's a low piece of property, and as a result, there'll have to be a lot of fill imported for this project. In fact, it's about 25 or 30,000 yards of fill, so very substantial amount. As I mentioned, 8-lot single-family layout. the street connection, the trail connection I mentioned. This is a stormwater treatment pond in this area right here, so this would collect all the runoff from the project, go into the pond, discharge into the natural wetland to the west there. Location of the trail with an access to the cul-de-sac, that would be a paved trail. The remaining, so the town would, at this point, has talked about selling this as a development, retaining the additional open space, about 15 acres. Again, primarily wetland. This area right in here is partially wet, but partially upland right here. So it would just be absorbed as part of the town's open space or park property, however you want to determine it. The proposal itself is a request for a major subdivision to divide the property into 8 single-family lots and 1 outlot, and then also for a conditional use permit to allow a planned unit development. And in this case, it looks like a typical single-family subdivision. But you have the airport safety zone overlay district. Lots in this area are supposed to be at least 3 acres in size. So we had this laid out so the lots meet the minimum requirements here. These lots are going to be less than 3 acres, but if you take the overall plat, they will average 3 acres, so, or at least 3 acres. So that means a planned unit development can be processed. So a major subdivision, conditional use permit for a planned unit development, and this has been reviewed most recently by the Planning Commission, and this particular development layout has been recommended for approval.
All right, questions of Tom?
No, I think we've seen this enough times.
Tom, maybe this is a question for Larry. There's a concrete washout station, exact location to be determined. What exactly is that?
That's where the concrete trucks
Or what?
So
Trucks clean
dump.
up, empty into.
as they're building it, they will be pouring concrete for the curb. And normally you have a concrete washout station during construction that
So it's just temporary.
Yeah,
it's temporary, but these days, a lot of the trucks have, they collect the water for the washout and then bring it back to the plant these days. They have, their trucks are equipped now to keep, they wash up, but they keep the mixture in the truck, and then when they get back to the plant, they reuse that water.
Okay. I guess it's the first time, maybe I've just never noticed it before, but I was wondering what it was.
The little concrete guys used to wash it during the storms, that's why.
good old days. Changed now, it's part of the stormwater improvement.
But because it's a PUD with this requirements, very first one's the homeowners association.
Yeah.
And
Not typical for these type of developments.
right, that's always been a heartburn for the township, because these come and then they go, and we have battles with the neighbors, and,
Yeah, in some cases, almost all of the single-family developments that have come under a PUD have just been straight single-family developments with no homeowners
so
association.
is that held to the standard, or can they get around it? That's what I was getting at. Do they have to do the homeowners association?
You don't have to. We haven't required it, no.
Okay. Because sometimes that might even be a detriment to selling the lots. Some people just don't want that.
Understand, yeah.
All right, any other questions of Tom or staff? All right, then I would look for a motion to open up for public comment.
I'll move to open the hearing for the public comment portion.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to discuss this? Just please come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Yeah, Jane Harper, 2569 Parkview Court.
I am generally in support of the development. I don't have an issue with it. I'm here tonight to ask a question about the trail that's planned. And when you think that will be constructed, and if this is a general alignment, or if you've actually got a specific alignment at this time.
Yes, I would say we have a specific alignment at this time. It's changed a number of times, primarily based on the location of the wetland. We had to redelineate the wetland because the old one had been more than 5 years old. The location of the wetland, of course, it was a wet year last year, so the wetland grew. So the trail has shifted a little bit to the west. But then near the Parkview Village development here, we're still talking about going along the edge of the berm. This is the pond right here. So going along on the edge of the berm. This location right here, we talked about coming in about right here, but it will shift slightly over here, only because this wetland extended out in this area a little bit. So we're not going to fill any wetland with this, we're going to work around them. So to that extent, yes, it's planning a 10-foot wide paved trail. We had talked about wood chip, wooden bridge. The neighbors at a previous public hearing said, well, pave it. Everything else is paved, so makes sense to do that, we think, too.
Do you have a schedule for when that will go in? Will it go in before the lots are sold?
Probably not. We're looking this kind of at two phases. The first phase in the township property right here. We're preparing to do this phase right now, but we would recognize cost savings if we did the whole thing at once. So we may just wait and do it all at once. We're preparing to do it now, but anticipating that we do them both at the same time. Of course, the property has to be sold and development has to take place too if that's the next route. So fall at the earliest. How's that?
Okay, but within the next year or two, hopefully? We'd really like to see, our development really like to see this implemented as soon as possible so we can get access to a larger network of trails that currently we have to go out on and walk on Portland or bike on
Yeah.
Portland to get access to.
Yep.
So we're very anxious to see this.
Understand this has been part of the trail master plan. This one's been sitting on my desk for 20 years. I'm happy to see it, and we could do it in two phases. This will not change how we do it, but we really can't do this before the property develops because once they grade it, they're going to dig that pond right here and they'd end up tearing out the trail. So, we could pave it up to this point. We could just mow a strip temporarily to connect the two and then pave it when the property develops. We're kind of still talking about the options
Yeah,
there.
and I'm not sure if you do half now, what that gains us, because it's really the connection,
Well, it would connect, it's just, it'd be a grass
a grass.
trail for a while.
Mountain bike.
Right,
There you go.
yeah. Okay, that was, I just had a question, thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, my name's Rolf Parsons. I live at 2576 Parkview Court. Tonight, I just want to address three issues representing my neighbors. I'm not representing the Parkview 2 Association since I'm not on their board anymore. First one is I'm an enthusiastic supporter of the trail. Really look forward to that coming in. As soon as we can do it, we'll love you even more. So that would be great. We don't have any real issues with, what you're suggesting here, so we're looking forward to it. Second thing is, could I approach the screen? We are requesting, if we could, to have some trees put in somewhere around this area so that we could provide some buffer between the two developments. And I'm sure you have people that know more about this than I do, but mix of conifers and deciduous, something like that. But the intent would be to break up the view, if we could, to some extent. And while you're out planting trees, there could be a few more in here also, just to block the view from this trail to the back of our homes here. The reason that we're requesting that is that our homes are incredibly vulnerable on the back side by sight lines. And so frankly, we're just trying to avoid people shopping as they walk by the trail. So anything you could do there would help. The third item, I don't have any difficulty with your proposal for extending what is now a driveway and making it a road. I understand your needs for access, and particularly for emergency vehicles, great. It's more of a concern, and that is the traffic on Portland Avenue. Right now, just our experience at the Parkview 2 development, just south of it, is that we have, and we have mostly people who are over 55, 60 and up. But we're having enough difficulty getting out of our cul-de-sac. The concern we have with the location of that road is that it's just beneath the rise of the hill coming over Parkview as people come down. So again, no objection to the street, but if you could do anything to work with your partners at Ramsey County or whoever it is that owns that road.
That is a county road.
Yeah, I get that. Cooperation among governmental agencies is an unnatural act, I understand. But if we could reduce the speed, drop the speed limit down now with this new development, because I'm very, very concerned. I think I've seen, and even now when you've put your signs out that indicate the speed, people are coming over that hill at 45 miles an hour sometimes. I mean, it's fast, and I think it's a very dangerous situation. So I just request that you look at that and maybe fix that problem before it starts. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. All right, anyone else? Going once, going twice? All right, hearing none, I would look for a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
Move to close the public portion of the hearing?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Maybe a point of order for the attorney. If we're going to continue this because of now some further discussion that we may want the EDAB to review, do you want us to even go through any of these motions for recommendations?
No, just table it.
Okay. Only because doing a little brainstorming and some more information required to make a rational decision on this property, because it seems like we're not getting the numbers we would have liked. We're gonna have our Economic Development Authority Board look at it one more time. So, do I have a motion to table?
I'll move to table this matter till a future date after the EDAB.
April, I believe.
Reviews this?
Yep.
April,
If we're allowed.
further out? Okay.
I will second that.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion carries.
So, Mr. Chair, no action was taken on the stable property public hearing. We are continuing that subsequent to EDAB review.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on, new business. We have item 8A, Dan Labor, Portland Avenue minor subdivision request.
All right, Dan is up, same neighborhood here. Got a property on Portland Avenue. Basically, kind of right across the entrance to the stable development. Find my notes here. Looking to split the property into two parcels. There we go. Okay. Property right here. It's a 67,000 square foot property. It's 231 feet wide. This is in the R1 low-density residential zoning district. White Bear Township has a minimum lot size requirement of 12,000 square feet per lot and a minimum of 80 feet of lot width. He would like to split the lot into two. The lot far exceeds the minimum requirements. You can see the location of Mr. Labor's home and garage here with driveway onto Portland. Parcel A is proposed here, 30,000 plus square feet in area, exceeding lot width, 105. Existing, or the parcel with the existing home would be a little over 36,000 square feet, 125 feet of lot frontage. So it far meets the existing, or it far meets the zoning requirements for allowing a minor subdivision. See, the new line will be split right here. Parcel A was not assessed when utilities came into the area. Therefore, that parcel will be subject to a utility hookup fee in addition to local SAC and WAC fees. Also, a park dedication fee will be due if this subdivision is brought forward for final approval. So this was also reviewed by the Planning Commission, recommended for approval since it met the town's requirements. Well, I'll mention one other thing. There was some discussion at the Planning Commission meeting, since this is off of Portland Avenue, fairly busy. One of the options that would be highly recommended would be some sort of driveway turnaround, similar to what he has on parcel A. You can back out and front your way out. Don't like to see cars backing out onto Portland Avenue, since it's a relatively busy street. Go out forward, it's much safer. So that's just a guideline recommendation that the Planning Commission supported.
All right, this looks like a pretty basic lot split with no complications, not like some of the ones we've seen.
I was gonna say the same thing. It's one of the few that we see that actually, they're not asking for variances for lot size, so. I sat in on that meeting, and yes, they did have some conversation about the requirement for a turnaround versus recommendation. And, you know, it may have caused a problem if you required it to split the lot and sell it, he thought, in marketing. But I think everybody that looks at it is probably gonna make I would hope, make a smart decision and put a turnaround there.
Dale, when's the last time we did a traffic study out there? Have we done one lately? Or a count even?
The county would have done it, and honestly, it would have been, I know they were out a couple of years ago, but I don't know if anything more current.
I remember when we first started talking about the property across the way, that the county said that the traffic studies show it did not warrant a lower speed, nor were they interested at that time, so that's my recollection of that.
I think maybe we should just revisit that, or at least get the update, just so we can let some of the concerned neighbors know. I mean, I know I've driven that road, and people tailgate you on it. They want to go 60 there, so.
What has changed also, since they probably did that, was there was development on that road that goes towards Withrow.
Yep, County
There are
9.
about 6 or 8 more homes built in there since they did some studies, and you're right, it is a racetrack, but I think you said it correctly, that it is a county road, and if they're not interested, they're not interested, but we should at least approach it.
Well, I mean, they have the discrepancy of, the privilege of changing it if they want to, but it's 40 now, correct?
Yes, and I think there was a change in the law now that they can lower it without state recommendations if they choose. So, he mentioned, we're kind of flipping between two items though, but there are no flashing traffic signs there on that road that we've put in,
No. I don't think so.
talking about the speed.
Well, the Ramsey County does once in a while, I believe.
Oh, temporary ones?
Yeah.
But there's no permanent
No.
one like we added.
No.
Okay.
Put an overhead up here of the traffic counts in this portion of the neighborhood. So 3,900 trips per day on Portland Avenue in this area.
Busy.
Wow. Quick with the draw there, Tom.
Boy, TR.
Of course, that's what, 2001?
No, that's pretty recent.
Wow.
I mean, the truth, it probably was, for many years, very rural outside of there. And so that 40, whatever they use, has probably been there for a number of years. So maybe with the new changes, they would be willing. I mean, it's not our call, but we should have a conversation maybe.
Well, I think we should put it on our radar, because we're talking to the county quite a bit lately on county roads, so,
Yeah.
especially with the stuff coming up with H2, Baldiga Boulevard. This may be something else they should need to just give another look at.
They've already got a lot of moving parts, so might be a good time to do it anyway.
Is that the other county commissioner, or is that still, is that Victoria Reinhardt's part, or is that our part of
I think
that?
that's ours.
I don't know where they divide up
I
there.
think it's, I don't remember.
Okay. But I'll move, based on the Planning Commission and staff review and recommendation to approve the minor subdivision of the property at 5660 Portland.
Along with those recommendations I think they had.
Yes,
Set up for.
yes, that there's a one-time park dedication fee, payment of the utility connection fee for the vacant lot. A driveway permit must be issued by Ramsey County in order for the new lot to access Portland, and payment of a SAC, WAC, and local SAC fees at the time a building permit is issued. That's what I'll move.
All right, do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 8B is Cub Foods. This is 1050 Meadowlands, looking for a request to renew their permitted use standards permit to allow a temporary greenhouse. They don't have room right now. They're full.
Yeah, it's pretty full right now.
That's true.
All right, something the Cub has had in place for a number of years. PQD, is that the name of it? Corporation leases some space from Cub to run a plant sale. No, I'm thinking of the Christmas tree sales. I think this
Yeah.
is a part of a Rum River Nursery doing this here too, though. Every year in the spring, they've done this for the couple months, starting April, May, June. Temporary plant sales in a greenhouse. They set up a greenhouse in this location of the parking lot right here, with some outside plant sales. They like this location because they have water access to the building here. It temporarily eliminates 28 parking stalls. Again, through the months of April through June. The town has originally permitted this outfit a one-year permit in 2014, came back in 2015 and received a 5-year permit that just expired, and they're requesting approval of a new 5-year permitted use standards permit to allow this temporary use out in the parking lot. Yeah, historically, there's not been any issues with parking. It's more typical that you really see the heavy parking during holiday season. I don't know what to think today, but in the past, it's been no issues, really, no parking issues. Planning Commission reviewed this at their meeting last month and recommended approval of the 5-year permitted use standards permit as requested.
Tom, have you talked to Cub Foods at all on this?
I have not, no.
Because of the climate of what's going on now, are they even gonna do this year?
That's a good question.
Because if they're not, I don't see any reason to renew the permit, wait next year, then they got 5 years from next year. If they're not even planning to do this year, I'm just wondering if they wanna pull the plug on this and wait.
I'd be able to put this on hold and check with them.
Except
Did
for-
not ask that question.
We're running out of time, they wanna do this.
I think they want to start in mid-April, so that would put us at the April 6th is the next town board meeting.
I mean, we could still get it in before then. I guess, to me, it seems like it's kind of a wasted effort if they're not gonna do it this year.
I would say vote on it subsequent to staff communicating with Cub regarding their plans. And if they feel that they aren't gonna get a start on it, oh yeah, we can wait till the next meeting. There's no hurry. But if they do, I mean, if they legitimately want to get going here in April, I would hate to back them up.
At the very least, they could withdraw their application after we've agreed to do it. They don't, I mean, I agree with you. I'd rather vote on it, have staff talk to them.
Because otherwise they lose this year. We vote on it, we pass it, they
Well-
lose this year if they don't use it. If they're not gonna do it, then I would think they'd come back next year.
I think the board can withdraw their application for a year if you make the motion subsequent to review by staff and the vendor.
Have they paid a fee already?
Pay the application fee.
Okay, so.
That work, Chad?
Well, you have the 6-day rule to worry about too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could always come back and request an amendment to their permit. You always grant it to them. There's no reason not to, yeah, there's no harm in approving it tonight. And if for some reason they don't do it, come back, they can all apply for an amendment.
The board chair is being thoughtful.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, otherwise they lose a year.
Right.
Tom, fire department doesn't have to review this, do they, for any kind of safety things?
Yeah, we include that as one of the requirements, just to have the fire inspector inspect before they open for business.
Okay. So that'll cover their water and electrical hookups and all that.
Yeah, it's just a hose. But the electrical's a little more serious, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you don't want to put the water with the electrical, so.
I wouldn't run that in the same line, no.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move based on the planning commission and staff review and recommendation, approve the permitted use standards permit for Cub Food, 1059 Meadowland Drive, from mid-April through the end of June for 10 weeks in duration for a maximum of 5 years, which would take it through June 30th, 2025.
I will second that.
Motion made, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, next we have Public Works. We'll skip down to town engineer items. How's that?
So you're approving everything?
I think that's what the implication was, Dale.
All right, Dale. 8C, Board of Water Commission City St. Paul Agreement for Services.
So what you have before you is an amendment to the original agreement from 2005. For approval, they made some minor changes in the language that are more reflective of actually what they do. So I'm recommending the town board approve it. This is for water main repairs, and we've used them since 2000, or actually prior to 2005 without an agreement, then from 2005 on with an agreement. And now we're just clear, they're amending the agreement to really reflect what the actual services they are providing. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So in the current, walk me through today currently, what's going to change? So you get a water main leak, you call them, they come out, and they had to come out within 4 hours before, or is that the after?
If they can't, they let us know. So the difference is now they will let us know within 4 hours whether they can come out. And then we got to make decisions, in that 4 hour window that we're going to have to get a contractor in. And we've done that in some of the recent winters where they've been busy when the year when there was a lot of water surface froze for the individual residents in St. Paul. They were unable to accommodate some of our breaks more that year than the other. So we had to get contractors in. But generally, they're responsive. There have been times.
So this is kind of tightening it up a little bit
Yep.
in things. Chad had made a recommendation on page 67 of the minutes. Did we address his concerns?
Yes, well, I made contact with the gentleman who is the point of contact that Patrick has offered, and unfortunately, he hasn't been responsive, and I will call the director, Steve Snyder, and get an answer in regards to the annual fees for the year, so they're fixed, for the year and not a up and down changing labor and material cost.
So do you think that, you don't know if they'll agree to that?
Well, I think they've already referenced it, but by reference, but we don't have anything. They said they would supply it with us, but we don't have, that we can request it, is what it says in the agreement.
Can we modify put that language in the agreement and see if is that what you prefer to do, Chad? You had said that the sets the labor, material, and equipment rates, and upon written request, provide the town with a written estimate of those costs. Is there some way to write that in there so that we accomplish what your concern is?
Yes, we can handle it, yeah.
We can wait till, if Chad wants to modify it, or if that's what.
We'll just take care of it right away then.
Yeah.
I'll get the language right away.
Other than that, I don't have no other questions. But I think his point was well taken. Annually is better than on a surprise basis.
Dale, you have a list of go-to guys then, if St. Paul can't make it?
Yeah, we got a hard laminated copy here. It's not this one, but right here is the next one. That has all the contacts that are our next call list, and we always go, we typically have 3 or 4 on there, and it's who can first respond in, a repair emergency.
All right, Scott, got anything?
Nope.
All right, so,
Can we still do a resolution subject to
Attorney review?
attorney review?
Sure you can.
Okay. So I'll move to approve the amendment number 1 agreement for services between White Bear Township and the Board of Water Commissioners of the City of St. Paul, subject to the town attorney's review and change.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll move to approve a resolution approving the agreement.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
And I'll, based on the staff review and recommendation, make a motion to authorize the execution by the town board chair, town attorney, and the town clerk of the agreement between White Bear Township and the Board of Water Commissioners of the City of St. Paul.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. All right, item 8D, asphalt patch trailer replacement.
Yes. So, current asphalt trailer we purchased in 2011, it's had a fair amount of use since we've got it. We're looking for a replacement this year. It's to replace the 2011. It's from the same manufacturer, the specified replacement. The difference between the one we have and the new one is it's got an oil jacketed liner that can keep the material warm. It also has hydraulic doors to open and close versus manually. And it's got an auger to feed the material out onto either right onto the road directly or onto a plate that they can shovel out of. So we've got 3 quotes, the lowest being from Step Manufacturing for 68078. Second lowest was IEC for $70,153, and then the third was from Brew Pro for $70,978. So the staff recommendation is to approve the quote and approve the purchase of the asphalt patch trailer for $68,078 from Step Manufacturing, with the purchase to be funded by the town's capital equipment fund.
Dale, is that trailer we have now, the existing trailer, does that go to auction, or what are you doing with it?
We will dispose of it at the, we want to keep it around until we get the new trailer delivered for patching, because we're right into the patching season right now.
So there's no trade-in on this?
It was the amount, the trade-in value they gave us, or were willing to give us $3,000. We feel we can get more by bringing it to the state surplus auction.
Is that a typical lifespan for that kind of equipment?
It's had a lot of use, and we're looking to get there's some improvements made since we purchased that, so it'll help us.
Sounded like you got an upgraded version.
Yes, definitely, and will less material waste, even than we sold the last trailer on that, but there's even gonna be more, because this has actually got a heated trailer jacket around it.
Well, I thought Larry said all roads were gonna be so great, we don't need this.
I heard him say the same thing.
When
So
will
we
that
don't need to
happen?
spend it?
That's right.
Yeah, a long time. Pixie dust.
All right, any other questions of Dale? All right, so you want this in 2 separate motions? One to receive and one to award?
Yes, that'd be correct.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So I will move based on staff review and recommendation to receive quotes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And based on staff review and recommendation, move to approve the purchase of an asphalt patch trailer from Step Manufacturing in the amount of $68,078 with funding from the Capital Equipment Fund.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. All right, moving on to AD, the 2020 Seal Coat project.
So mine also, so you can, the maps are included in here. I'm not gonna go a lot of detail with, other than it's a routine maintenance project we do every year for the roads to help preserve the pavement preservation that we do, measures. And we did get 3 bids, 4 bids. 3 bids were for the specified product that we use. 1 bid was not. So we had the bids from Allied Blacktop, Aztec Company, and also Pearson Brothers in the, for bids. And we had a 4th bid for an alternative product, which is not, my specifications do not allow alternative product. The product that the vendor, our Farner Asphalt, offered I have not had any experience with it. I've asked for references. They gave me some, there were none in the metro area, and the product is on some outstate communities, smaller areas. Don't know how long they've been there. Want to make sure we're comparing a equal product. So I'll need time to do that evaluation, just so the board knows. I just want to share that with you. It is, their price was significantly lower, but that, I want to make sure the product is equal or better.
I don't think the township wants to be in the position of research and development on new road systems.
I've had some feedback unsolicited about the product, and that's why I want to do some more research.
Well, Oakdale, it says Oakdale on here is one of theirs, unless I'm reading that right, Oakdale, Minnesota, on Hudson Boulevard. I agree with you. By the way, I agree with you for
Well, I
this
just-
year.
I
but
still wanna
think
talk
for
to
the future,
them.
it's substantially different. If there's something newer and improved out there that others are looking at, I think for the future, we should at least explore. But for this purpose, I agree with you for today, but
And just be assured, we will be looking at other products. I already talked to Larry that we are going to be looking, they might even be a little more costly than what we have, but if we can prove that they extends the preservation of the pavement a little longer between the applications, we're going to do that too, offer that up.
or just like you're gonna be looking at electric vehicles.
Yes.
Do you know how long this product's been around?
I do not. That's why I have to do my homework.
No, I agree.
All right, any other questions of Dale?
Not for me.
All right, again, you want two separate motions here, one to receive, one to award.
Mm-hmm.
A motion?
All right, based on staff review and recommendation, I move to receive the bids.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And based on staff review and recommendation, I move to award the seal coat contract to Allied Blacktop Company in the amount of $110,537.82 with funding from the Improvement Fund 505.
A second on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That motion carries. All right, moving on, item 8F, the State of Minnesota Public Works Mutual Aid Pack.
So I'll just start it out, preface it, we've been member of Minwarn, Minnesota, a similar mutual aid agreement, but that's mainly directed at utilities, water, sewer, storm. So this mutual aid pact with the state of Minnesota mutual aid pact covers everything. You know, if you had a park or building or something, we could incorporate, get staff and equipment that we probably wouldn't have, but some other community may have. So, or if we had a storm that came through and just wiped out all our trees. Or, just different examples, or even, maybe even staff, just because we don't have staff because of some issue. The timing is kind of peculiar,
Yes.
what do you want to say? The word I'm trying to think of, but anyways, it is timely, I guess I'll say.
Coincidence?
Consideration, coincidental. I would like the board to consider joining this Minnesota Mutual Aid, Public Works Mutual Aid Pact. It was brought to my attention by a cohort in this public works industry that it was a beneficial thing for.
So it commits us really to nothing. You don't have to provide the help and aid, only if you have the capacity to provide the help and aid,
That is
and vice
correct.
versa.
That is correct.
And the expenses that, say, would be to bring in 5 more boom trucks if you needed those to tear down trees or something, is our expense. I mean, it's all spelt out that whoever who wants the service is paying for the service, pretty much.
Yes.
Dale, do you know what other communities around us are part of this?
I'm not sure that there's any just around us. I know that there's
Well,
a
I'm
number of
getting-
them in the hot.
What I'm getting at is if no one around us is a member of it, that only helps them for us to be a member, so we can go help them. They're not part of the reciprocal thing?
Well, we typically already have a kind of arrangement, we help communities around, but this is more formalized, it's statewide, so we could draw in people from a lot further out, depending on the area. Say Twin Cities gets hit hard. They may maybe nobody with anything available but Brainerd, or I'll say Duluth or some other bigger community be able to provide us with some resources based on that.
Has Chad had a chance to look at the
Yes,
agreement?
I have.
And is it pretty clear as to how he stated it, or? are we
Joint powers,
missing
yes, it
something?
is. It's not perfect, but it's acceptable.
Well, I'm concerned, it's supposedly a state of Minnesota program, but yet Hennepin County Emergency Management is going to oversee it.
Volunteer to coordinate, yes.
Why is that?
Because they have the emergency management personnel to do that within Hennepin County. It started, it used to be, there's a history behind this, because I know originally, many years ago, they had the West Metro Mutual Aid. It was, I'll say 25 years ago, and then that kind of went away. So in 2018, in order to revive this mutual aid pact and make it so it's available to all communities within the state of Minnesota, they've come up with this agreement. So even if Brainerd, again, or Duluth wanted to join this, they could, even though they are a metro community. It's
Does
by state statute.
Ramsey County itself, they have an emergency. I remember going to a meeting down Highway 96 at the regional place down there, and they had their emergency response team there. They're not part of this, do you know of?
Not thick, I don't know that Ramsey County is a member of the Minnesota Mutual Aid Pact. I can check with their staff. I could certainly encourage them to join.
Well, you know,
See, I'm struggling, I think where you were going, the same as I am. I'm struggling that we're not more involved locally, and all of a sudden we're gonna get involved in something that is out of the metro area.
that's why I asked if Chad, if there's no catch that we're committing resources that we really can't afford to commit. And you know, it's, the way I read it, and I'm no contract expert, but it looks like there's no tie that you have to provide resources.
There's no obligation
Yep.
whatsoever.
Is there a cost to join this?
There's no cost to be a member of it. There's nothing in that order. The only cost would be if you were to actually be the ask requester for help. And they made it very clear up front that they would, a receiver, that the provider would give that notice to the receiver that there is a cost with it. They'd have to charge. We'd have to know that up front and what that is. But there's nothing, and that doesn't always help. That doesn't mean there always is. It's optional to the community providing the help.
So you're right, today you have kind of an unwritten mutual aid situation with White Bear Lake and other communities, if you needed help?
You know,
Lucy.
we'll use, each other's equipment, but nothing to the degree where it would be, nothing formalized.
Hugo too, right?
In Hugo, yes, we do a lot of,
In, I have to ask Pat a question. In your former life, did you ever have any experience with this outfit?
No, we did not.
Dale, how did this come about?
We didn't have partners very close.
They're not out soliciting folks, are they, or?
they're just sharing information with communities in the state that they have this option to join. And I happen to know one of the guys one of the engineers heavily involved with emergency management. So that's how I was.
What, I don't remember this. What's the opt-in and opt-out timeframe for if you just get in, you decide it doesn't seem to be good for us? If there's no cost involved, you can opt out or get out. Is it an annual, 6 months, 30
I
days?
think it's just a written notice that you want to be no participation anymore.
Well, then there's
Like
really
30 day.
much downside
No
to it.
downside.
No. So, I'm okay.
That, anything? All right, so again, you're looking for 3 separate motions?
Yes.
I'll, based on staff review and recommendation, I'll make a motion to approve participation in the program.
I'll second that.
Motion made second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll make a motion based on staff review and recommendation, approve the Public Works Joint Power Mutual Aid Agreement.
Second that.
Motion made second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
And based on staff review and recommendation, I'll make a motion to approve the equipment loan agreement.
Second that.
Motion made second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so if this goes south, it's your fault?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What, are you not gonna point to Dale?
Well, no, I just thought of something. It has nothing to do with where I changed my vote. From an insurance perspective, do we have to look at our insurance program, how it does for loaning this last part of the equipment loans?
Question. Probably.
You know, responsibility, probably, is that, you want to check into that?
Yeah.
Just because I don't think it's going to change anything, other than I think we have to see how our insurance applies,
Sure.
Yeah.
if you're going to loan equipment.
Hopefully, we never have to worry about that. Let's go
No.
with that.
Probably want to talk to him.
That's what
Yeah.
insurance is for.
But I'm sure that's probably gonna come up the first time we go to use this. Somebody's gonna want indemnification of some sort of insurance. All right, moving on. Item 8G, tandem axle dump truck. Back to spending money.
Any questions?
Spreadsheet? Got a
My man, right here.
Get your spreadsheet out.
All right, Dale, again, this is a replacement, right? We're getting rid of the other one?
Yes. Well, no, actually, we're gonna keep number four, the existing number 49. We have been doing that as we've been phasing out trucks, provided they don't have any mechanical issues as a truck. So, we won't be traded in, but we will eventually dispose of it at the state auction.
Okay.
Because here's the deal about this truck. That's why it's time to get the chassis ordered. It may take a year to get the chassis, the way it's going right now, or even longer. So we're hoping it doesn't, but, you know, we haven't got a confirmation that it would be any less. So there's a chassis and then, of course, the body, the snow removal equipment that goes with it. And we are adding just a little bit different than the other trucks. In total, we're adding the brine option, so we can put more brine to activate the salt versus buying treated salt. So it helps the salt stick to the road, and it's a less cost for the material altogether. And we'll look at actually do brine drop applications too in the future. We'll have the controls to do it, just not maybe the tank. We may end up putting a tank mounted unit in the box of the truck eventually. I'm just preparing for that ability. Like I don't know if you all seen going down Ramsey County roads, you can see the lines prior to a snow event. That is typically what they're doing. They're doing anti-icing versus de-icing.
All right, questions, comments?
We discussed this briefly at the executive meeting, or one of those meetings, and this is not the lowest bid, but it has reasons that it makes it more attractive and for our use and purpose.
Yep.
That it's not substantially higher, but slightly higher than the lowest bid, and for that reason, you would prefer to go that route. Okay.
Yes.
What exactly was that reason again, Dale?
Well, we have, there's several, but the reasons are that the electrical wiring is just simply, it's a direct wired versus a simplex wired, which is a lot of wires in one conduit versus wires separate. And when you have electrical problems, it's hard to access those issues, especially on plow trucks. You know, typical over-the-road trucks don't have these. You don't have all these connections to the different lights and snow equipment, and that can cause, we've had, our experience with that wiring system has cost the town money in the long run. And for the difference between the two quotes, the low and the high, the two we have for the specified unit, that would easily go away in the first repair. The difference is just under $4,000.
I think it's important to note why you're
Yes.
accepting the higher bid.
Well, there are 4 reasons he's got in his memo, page, what page is that?
113.
Yeah.
And in your research, these are the 4 reasons why we should look at this Mack Nuss from Nuss versus Boyer Ford's bid. It's got better retail, it's got better electrical connectivity, as you said.
Less issues with
Less issues.
electrical. That's our experience with staff. And then also the more continuity for operators. They can jump in one and jump the other. It's the same thing versus whole different setup than one truck going to the next truck. And then also and just that if we get the same Mack vehicle, we're gonna have a lower inventory of parts because we have the same engine, same rear end, same brakes on the chassis, same cabin tier. So the staff recommendation is we just,
Are you sold, Steve?
Yep, I am.
All right, if there are no more questions, looks like again, we need 2 action items, one to receive the quotes and one to approve the purchase.
Based on staff review and recommendation, I'll move to receive the quotes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
And based on staff review and recommendation, I'll move to approve purchase of the tandem axle truck chassis, dump body, snow plow, underbody plow, wing, pre-wet equipment, and sander from the various vendors in the amount of $250,271 with funding from the Capital Equipment Fund.
By the way you say that, it sounds like a good deal.
Boy, I'll second that. You've convinced me.
All right, motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right, so it'll be a year before we see it, huh?
I'm hoping earlier.
All right, item 8H, street improvement 2020-1. Larry?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. You've seen this project numerous times on your agendas for over the course of the last 6-7 months. It's the improvements to the southeast area, Phase 1 project, Lakewood Avenue, Ralph Street, Arbor Drive, Hilaire, Summit, Forest Court, Glen Oaks Avenue, and Homewood Avenue. The last interaction we had was the
160.
the open house held on February 6th, where residents were able to review the design and offer comments and feedback. We have since that meeting completed the design of the plans and specifications. I have a copy here tonight if anyone's interested in looking at them. So tonight we're looking for approval of the plans and specifications and authorizing bidding for the work. We are targeting a date of April 15th for the bid opening in accordance with state statute noticing requirements. And with that, I can answer any questions you have.
Do you have a feel for how many bidders?
We're still early in the year, and it's interesting times, and we'll see what might occur this bidding season. If bids do not come in favorably, we can wait and rebid this. It could jeopardize getting this done this year, but we'll have to see what we get on April 15th, and we'd bring those bids back to you either the following week at the second meeting in April or the first meeting in May.
All right, Scott?
I guess that was the big question, is based on the interesting times, but I guess we'll just have to see what we get, and then we can always decide again if we need to.
I agree.
All right, so looks like again, we look at 2 separate motions here.
Yes. So, based on the town engineer review and recommendation, I'll move to adopt resolution approving the plans and specifications for improvement 2020-1.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries.
I'll move based on the town engineer review and recommendations, adopt the resolution ordering advertisement for bids for improvements 2020-1.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion carries also. All right, moving on. 8I, the stable property trail extension proposal. Is that you, Tom?
No.
Or is it Larry?
That'd be me. Thank you. In conjunction with the stable property discussions and developing the stable property, it seems the opportune time to talk about and review connection through Deer Meadow Park, which is just to the south of the stable property. And as Tom had highlighted earlier, with the residents, it's going around that pond and connecting up with the Deer Meadow Park trail. So staff had asked us to come up with a cost to prepare plans and specifications to do that work, and including pond cleanout. That pond, you look at an aerial photo, you can tell it's the sediment and sediment has accumulated in that pond to where it's not functioning as well as it could. So the price would include preparing plans for sediment removal to restore that functionality of that pond. There could be, if this is bid with the stable property development, an opportunity to reduce some of the costs, but we really want to take advantage of ownership of that property, be able to access that area to do the work south of the stable property in the Deer Meadow Park area.
Do you actually access it through the stable property then, or?
That's where we would
Okay.
access, so we don't damage the existing trail in Deer Meadow Park. So we offer a price, not to exceed price of $17,500 to prepare the plans and specifications for the work. If it is designed and bid with the stable property development, additional savings in our plan preparation could be achieved as well.
All right, wasn't most of the surveying done for that property when we did the plat,
The original plat?
or the one we just did?
Yes, yeah, and I believe they did shoot some elevation points along this corridor here too, so
Oh,
we
okay.
could look at some savings there, but
Okay.
we need to compare what they've provided so far and discuss what else is needed.
Yeah, and we'll have to shoot the pond, to determine the elevations within the pond for the sediment removal.
A question that, it relates to kind of what the residents had asked for there, for some trees and things along there. Would any of that hamper future access to that pond what they were talking about? They want to screen things, but
Wouldn't be an area, well, it'd be an area off the trail, so,
no.
I don't think it would.
And at the same time, in those, whatever plans we're putting together, would you look at, we have access to trees? So,
Yeah, they've provided a number of trees along the edge of the pond that we'd like to work around. And, yeah, providing additional trees as long as they're placed fine, no negative impact.
as long as you're working back there.
Yep.
Yep. We can, in the plans, strategically locate the trees along the trail.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we have this opportunity to use them anyway, and that is township property.
Yeah.
Public property.
Right.
It helps take advantage of what we have available, free. So, if you can fit it in, I'd recommend that.
Scott, any questions?
So,
Hearing none, I would look for a motion.
I'll move based on staff review and recommendation, authorize TKDA to prepare plans and specifications for a total amount not to exceed $17,500 for work relating to the Deer Meadow Park trail improvement and stormwater pond maintenance.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. Moving on, item J, the Clear Channel billboard lease agreement.
Do you want to take it, or do you want me to? Okay. Subsequent to your discussion 2 meetings ago, Tom, when we had the ordinance change for signage.
Yeah,
Yep.
I heard the hearing.
This is the billboard lease with Clear Channel that spells out our agreement going forward with them based upon the ordinance change. Was submitted to the town attorney or township attorney for his review. Anything you want to add? Are we good?
No, it's fine.
So with that being said, I would submit to the board for your approval of this lease agreement.
A question, and I don't remember the details if we've discussed them. How is it what are the numbers changed from what we currently have to what going forward? What are they, do you remember what they're?
The static billboards, they don't want to pay us as much. I believe they're paying us about
That was the neighborhood of
roughly
40.
50,000 a board right now, and they're proposing to pay about 30 for the static board in the southerly portion of the park.
And that's Exhibit B in here.
Yes.
So,
it is.
okay.
Okay.
But the other board, the digital type board, substantially more than we're receiving right now. So it ends up being kind of a wash, actually. Maybe we're getting a little bit more from what we're currently getting versus what they're proposing. So the digital, what was that, about
80,000 for the
80,000?
first year, yeah.
And then they accelerate a few percent a year. So we'll end up doing better than we're doing now, slightly.
Tom, I always forget, I'm still learning it. Do these funds get dumped into the EDA or the park fund?
I think it was Park Fund.
I don't know which fund, but I think it's half dedicated to the general for maintenance.
Okay.
And development.
I remember discussion
Fuller
that
Lakes
we
Park, and that's a special fund.
we
Okay.
pulled some of those funds for the town hall,
Yeah.
and I thought it had to come out of the park fund, because I remember the park board wasn't happy.
Yeah, it's true. It's the Polar Lakes Park Fund.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I thought we were doing better than this, so we're only netting 10 grand more to start. If we're getting 50 apiece, that's 100.
Yeah,
Now we're
there's
getting
an
80 and 30 is 110.
They've got an accelerator in there too, so it's adjusting annually.
So obviously, it's a lease agreement for 20 years.
Correct.
Chad, you had no other comments, correct?
No, really, no.
When would this go into effect?
Immediately.
As soon as you sign it.
Yep.
And then when would they proceed with their upgrade on the billboard? Tonight?
They're waiting out by the interstate.
They got the trucks out there.
I'm not sure if they've been in contact with the building inspector or not at this.
No,
Okay.
they haven't.
Well, obviously, it's a good deal continuing down the road, but
Yep.
Yeah. I know when we had our discussions about whether we wanted to let them do digital or static, I don't think we really had discussions about price. So was this a negotiation, or is this just what they say they're gonna pay us?
We really didn't do a lot of negotiating. This is what they offered.
so we took the first offer?
Not
I
too
have
many.
no idea if this is.
I have no idea either. I'm just out of my
Yeah.
league.
We took their offer the first time around too, and done a pretty decent job at developing Polar Lakes Park, and maintaining it with funding, so.
Well, without patting ourselves on the back, I think we got the best looking billboards out there.
And that was part of the
agree with
original
that.
negotiations.
They're pretty cool.
Is, they had to be upgraded to our standards, and these guys did that for us. And we get a number of calls every year from other communities saying, hey, what did you guys do with that?
Yes.
And then obviously too, we still have that control of content.
Yeah,
Or at least
that's
some
spelled out
control.
in the lease there. Or just, it controls things that can't go up on the boards, alcohol, nudity, all the fun stuff.
All right, any other questions, comments?
We have I have no way to negotiate, so I mean, to me,
Well, we don't have to approve it if you want to go back to the bargaining table.
Well, would you look to see if there were other advertising companies that would be interested in it?
I personally would, but that's why I asked when a lease runs out. I personally would rather have some discussion on a different price, but that's just me. The static, I understand, but they came to us with the idea of digital. And so there is a real reason they want to go digital. And to just take their first offer out of the box, personally, I think we should say no.
So
on
what
the
are you
price.
thinking, keeping the digital at 80 and making them hold to the 50 on the original?
I'd raise the digital, but I don't, either way. I mean, I just think it doesn't hurt to have a conversation about pricing. It just, I have no experience in it, so I don't know what someone else would be willing to pay for our, do they own the signs as they sit
They
there?
lease the signs from the EDA.
Okay, so we own the base structure.
So
And-
theoretically, we could lease it to any other advertising.
Yeah, what's the competition?
Or what is the actual going rate? Does anybody know that?
No, don't.
I don't even, can you even find out, Tom?
Well, there's only a couple other companies out there, not having any experience negotiating.
Because we don't have to do this. We could leave it at, we could have them either re-up at 50 apiece and call it a day.
Then you lose money.
Yeah,
10 grand down.
but if they really want this, I don't think we're gonna lose anything.
Yeah, I don't know how much they really want that southerly board based on the price they're offering, but
Well, I guess my comment would be that if there is any competition out there, we should say, we're open for a thought. What's your thought? What were you willing to give us for it? To lease it, take the space. Doesn't hurt. The most they can say is, we're not interested.
So, are you interested in entertaining a motion to table until we can,
I would prefer to table it until we at least find out if there's any other interest in it, because this is our opportunity. We're signing a 20-year lease.
or do you wanna come back with a number that you feel more comfortable?
Me?
Yeah.
What's,
Put you on the spot.
No, I negotiate other things. I have no experience in this.
what's the notification of getting out of the lease, Tom? Do you remember? 60 days?
I don't, I have to look.
I believe so, but I'd have,
Yeah, folks, I
Don't like
would
that
recommend
Am I climbing over the cliff here?
going with this agreement based purely upon the track record of what the economics have been beforehand between the two static signs netting the township $100,000. The accelerator built into the lease as well, I think, accommodates the economics specific to the signage on the road. But I think you also have an option that if you find out down the road that it is not equitable to what the market is reflecting, you have that opportunity to renegotiate.
But I also take into Steve's, what's the 2 weeks before we approve this?
We missed out on a revenue.
Scott, what do you think? He doesn't get a vote, so we don't.
I know, I'm just making a recommendation. Staff will execute whatever the board's directive may be this evening.
I was thinking that if Tom says that there's really only a couple other companies that would even be potentially interested in this, it may not be a bad idea just to call and say, hey, we're considering this, and is there any interest from you?
Yeah, if there isn't, then the answer is, this is the best deal in town.
Yep.
Right now, it's price, and I guess, it's not like take it or leave it at this point. It's a beautiful site. They came to us with a requested change. There has to be a reason they want a change. And we have no idea, we're not in the marketing business of advertising, digital signage, that maybe there is some market that's interested in it at a better price, and now's the time to check it out.
When does our lease agreement expire for the buildings right now?
Pretty much expired, I think.
The billboard?
In February, yeah.
Are they still paying?
Sure.
Better ask Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, I haven't asked recently.
All I'm getting at, I kind of agree with Steve, what's the harm of waiting 2 weeks? I see no downside to this.
I don't either.
Give staff a chance to just to make sure this is a good deal for the town.
And that's what I would think our citizens would want us to at least know if there's any competition, just like we do with our bidding process. We have nothing to bid against or accept against, other than them telling us this is the best deal you're gonna get. We don't know. So,
And like I said, I think those are the premier billboards probably in the cities. I've never seen anything as nice. They're done really well. And it's a fairly highly visible spot for them, so.
it is, and it's a well-traveled spot, and what they're asking for is better visibility. There has to be a reason for it, that they want one, not two. I'd like to see what else someone is willing to tell us why they want it also. They are beautiful signs.
Which way are you waving there, Scott?
I think it would be worth making just a couple calls to see if there's any interest.
Yes, and bring it back to the next meeting, and we'll
All right, is that a motion?
I'll move to table it for tonight and bring it back to the next meeting after the staff talks to other billboard leasing companies and see what interest there is in our spots.
I will second that.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right, moving on. We have one added agenda item. This is concerning the coronavirus. Patrick, are you gonna
Sure.
walk us
Chair.
through this?
First of all, I would read to you just real quickly what it is we have posted on our website to bring our residents up to date, as well as the board. We can go with conversation thereafter. The township, the administrative offices for the township have been closed to public access. Today was the first day that happened. And I'll read you our statement. As a provider of essential town services such as assuring safe drinking water, sanitary sewer operations, and infrastructure maintenance, the township is implementing enhanced safety measures to limit the potential for community transmission of COVID-19. Effective Monday, March 16th, today, White Bear Township will be closed to public access until further notice. Township staff will still be available by telephone and email during this closure. Our number at the administrative offices is 651-747-2750. You can email us as well at wbt@whitebeartownship.org. Also, just keep apprised of what's going on statewide with the coronavirus by accessing our website, whitebeartownship.org. We are reviewing as much of this as we can on a daily and literally an hourly basis through the Minnesota Department of Health as well as Ramsey County Health. We had a discussion today with Ramsey County, with the rest of, well, I would say almost all of the city partners, municipal partners within the county, as to what steps everyone is taking going forward with this. We, myself and Ed and the township attorney had met last Thursday with staff to go over questions from the emergency manager meeting that occurred the day before. We came to the determination that on a limited basis, we felt closing the administrative offices to walk-in traffic was prudent, at least in the short term. We also decided that we would review it on a weekly basis based upon what's going on with the overall situation across the nation and the state. Chad did some research on emergency declarations in light of pandemics that we're going to discuss a little bit here tonight. It gave as a handout to you. I would also note, with very few exceptions, I believe there's only 2 of our Ramsey County municipalities that have chosen to remain open at this time. At the same time, I would also say that those 2 municipalities have chosen to close their facilities or off-site facilities while remaining open to public traffic as much as they can at City Hall. But our surrounding neighbors have made the decision to close in much the same way that we have. A couple of them have decided to close altogether administrative services and just keeping essential staff going. Tomorrow, there are several council meetings that will vote on this, and by all intents and purposes, it sounds as if they are going to be voting in favor of that until the situation improves or we get more clarity. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that the state health department as well as Ramsey County's health department is dealing with right now, and that is the uncertainty and the unknown of how the virus is treatable, is being carried, is being spread. Technically, right now, we have very low numbers for our overall population, but however, they're increasing every day with better testing and people becoming more aware of the symptoms. And we don't, as we had our discussion with Ramsey County today, we don't see that tailing off much in the immediate future. Before we get to what Chad has, my suggestion is going to mirror pretty much what the rest of our Ramsey County municipal partners has been, is that at least through the end of this month, public meetings such as this, being our board meeting, being commissions or committees, or anything that is having multiple people there in excess of 10 to a dozen, depending on who it is you're talking to, that we postpone all of those, at least through the end of the month. We've got the park board, planning, and the other one that's in question, I think, would be the executive committee, which is on the 27th. And then we reevaluate starting the beginning of April as to what it is we want to do going forward based upon the information that has accumulated by then. Because as I mentioned, it's changing hourly. Restaurants, bars, entertainment venues are all closed now, starting tomorrow at 5. And I think, like I said, the rest of our partners around the region are taking similar steps with their operations as well.
Now, obviously, our staff is still working inside the building.
Correct.
It's not open for public traffic.
Correct.
Do you already have a drop box set up outside?
We sure do.
So if
We have an
someone comes
inbox
up-
and an outbox.
Okay, so
Yep.
there's still ways of people to drop off something larger that could go on the utility bill
Yes.
box. And then is Ramsey County Sheriff still using the substations here and at the township?
They were there today at our substation. I don't know about here.
So, but that'll still be an option for them
Yep.
to use that.
I think you also indicated in some place I heard about supplies and things that, delivery services that might be for public works and things. Do we have arrangements for that to be dropped off and checked more than just before they end of work that day? Particularly like Fridays, I hate to have a delivery late Friday and it sits there all weekend and gets stolen or whatever else. Is there any procedures where they can put stuff locked up?
We were, I'll let Dale speak to Public Works in just a minute, but at the administrative offices today, we had deliveries as usual. They are not requiring signatures, so they are leaving them in the outbox and we're picking them up outside. And that's in place for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I was thinking his material might be a little bigger than a
Yep.
Dropbox. So I'm just trying to figure out, is there anything to protect ourselves? They have to deliver when they can deliver, and what I've heard through media outlets is that this whole distribution network may slow down, which means later in the day deliveries, if at all.
Sure.
And so your public works employees go home at certain hours, or is there any way we can ask the sheriff, they see something to notify somebody, if they're coming to the substation and they see something sitting there, that we could make arrangements to get it put away?
Yep.
As part of our plan.
We can always use our on-call person to come in if the sheriff knows something. But most of our deliveries are very coordinated with the suppliers, so we don't.
I wouldn't know that.
We don't, the bigger items, we don't want them dropping off something after hours, or, we try to we tell them 2 o'clock, because we're out at.
The reason I was thinking of that is because they say that they may have to use other personnel in the distribution process that they normally would not use, which may not be used to your protocol, and so mistakes might happen.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we, at the receiving end, we need to be prepared to help out.
Our first day went with no issues.
Yeah, but I was talking about as it gets worse.
Understood. And I would suggest that the way we have things arranged for this week, we just maintain through this week and reapproach it next.
Yep.
I think it worked out fine, and you're right, it's gonna change. The atmosphere is gonna change, distribution's gonna change. And we just kinda have to roll with that as it comes about.
Yeah, I echo what you said, that it's an evolving process. I listened to the meeting at 3:30 today with the Ramsey County Response Group, and that's exactly what they said. We're only giving you information that we have now. In an hour from now, it could change, or tomorrow it could change. And so we need to have that fluid conversation.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, do you have, obviously, we are for sure going to cancel planning and.
Park board. That is my recommendation, Mr. Chair. I welcome discussion to dispute that, but that's what I would suggest.
I guess I guess I'd ask Tom, or Chad, I'm more concerned on, the park board are things that generally can float along, because they're not, but the planning commission has to do with building and people's lives, and so is there a way that if there is something that has to be done, that we can do it from a remote aspect?
That's what Chad's gonna talk about here.
Okay.
Well, Tom, is there anything pressing this? Okay.
And that would go along with this, if Chad's gonna talk about the exec meeting, this conversation I had with Ramsey County today worked very well by phone. So remote aspect are what we should be looking at if there's ways to conduct our business and what's legal. They were very concerned with open meeting laws today.
That's a big issue.
And so that's why it was presentations only with only written communications for comments, nothing back and forth, basically.
Oh, really?
That's what they did.
Okay,
They had only written, and they said there would be no live meeting
So when do you
to
want
avoid
to,
that.
when do you want to make the decision on the exec meeting for the 27th?
Well, let's go through the procedures, and then you guys can make a decision. First of all, there has to be a determination made either by the town chair or myself, as the town attorney, that there is a health crisis, a pandemic. And I think we've pretty well decided that's occurring. So that's one thing we'll have to do of record. And then, after that, you can conduct, there's no reason you can't conduct all the meetings by telephone. There are some requirements, though. First of all, everyone who's participating in the meeting has to be able to hear and participate. And so they have to make sure that whatever conference call system you're using is working, that everyone's involved. And this is the big one, though. At least one member of the body, chief legal counsel, or chief administrative officer is physically present at the regular meeting location. So in other words, now, the way it's written, I'm not sure if it's, like, for example, any of the three of you, myself, or Pat, just takes one of us. The way I read it, at first I thought it only took one of us, but the way I'm looking at it, it's going to take one of you and then one of either Pat or I at the meeting site to conduct the meeting.
We have that at the Township Hall?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's your regular meeting site for your exec meeting, so that's not a problem.
But not here,
Not here.
yeah.
So that makes, I mean, if that is the case, we need to have a discussion on that too, to say, yes, we would agree with that, or no, we don't, or is that just?
That's just the way the statute reads. That's, once you've determined that you intend to conduct business due to a pandemic through electronic meetings, then the rule is one member, and Pat or I, probably make both of us, have to be present at the meeting,
So in the event that
physically present at the meeting.
both of you are incapacitated, other members of your law firm would also qualify
Yep,
as our legal counsel?
yeah.
And other members of Pat's staff would
Yep.
qualify?
Next guy would be TK.
Yep.
Just trying to be prepared.
Yep.
Right, and then the only other requirement, and this is pretty easy, that all votes have to be conducted by roll call. Well, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Because we do have 3 presentations scheduled for the 27th. So we've got a lot of foot traffic that's going to come to this if we have it. We got Lake Link's presentation.
Cancel.
League of Minnesota City's presentation, and the Hockey Day Minnesota presentation. So we would have to cancel all 3 of those, take them off the book, or off the agenda.
I don't think any of those are urgent. The hockey one is close to being urgent, but the other ones, I don't consider them to be time sensitive at all.
You could carry on with them, but what's the point if you're not there?
Yeah.
So a roll call, would our meeting be recorded? I mean, is that part of the requirement, that they would have to be a recorded
That's a
conversation?
good point. Their statute is silent on that, but on the other hand, you have to keep minutes of your meetings, so yes, you would have to. So that's I'm glad you asked that question. So Megan, you'd have to be available too then. That, or we'd have to keep electronic records, a recording of it, and Megan would then have to do her minutes off of those.
Yeah, we've had meetings where our recording secretary was not able to, then we used a recorder.
There's nothing to say you can't do that.
just so we have, but I don't know how that picks up people's voices on the, well, it would pick them up on the phone, I suppose.
Well, that's the, again, that's the problem. You have to make sure that Megan could prepare a proper set of minutes, because those are your official records.
Staff could always record and give them over to Megan too, if you didn't want to be there.
Well, I think that is the prudent thing to do, is not have in-person executive meeting and set it up just as you indicated, in my own opinion, but.
Or is absolutely anything pending on this meeting that we have to have it? Instead of trying to jump through all these hoops. and
I
try
don't
to-
think there
Try to
is.
get all these people on the phone.
That's a good point, because you got update,
Right.
presentation, review, next steps.
In Public Works, Dale just wants one easel.
So that, from a timing standpoint, that might work for this month, but if there's something urgent, then
Well,
we
we
would
can't- no,
reconsider, as we're fluid, keep fluid. Okay. I mean,
So what I would suggest is we postpone the three meetings that we've discussed here. The April 6th meeting, I think we work on logistics, time, location, and everything as it presents itself. April 6th to me right now seems like eons in front of us, depending upon what's gonna happen. Everything can go one way or the other. It could crash, it could, when we made the decision, Thursday to close to the public, we were only at 7 confirmed cases statewide. We're up over 50 now, and that's in, 5 days?
Another thought on this whole issue here, something that came up at that meeting today, which I thought was very important for us here, is that tell me if I'm wrong, under state law, we should not and have no reason to know where locations of citizens that are infected or fear of being that they only have to provide the county, according to the Ramsey County emergency response people today, that they are not giving out any other information other than Ramsey County resident. And I guess from a board's perspective, not that I know of anybody, but I don't think we need to know either.
Yeah. Do we have to pass the emergency declaration today?
Well, here's the strange thing.
This whole thing's
Our
strange, Chad.
unique status as an urban township is going to affect us. Wait and listen.
This is what I spent a lot of time on trying to figure out, and there's still no good answer. The declaration for local emergency can only be done by the mayor of a municipality or the chair of a county board. Well, obviously, but here's the interesting thing. They don't define a municipality in the statute. They define a city, they define what they call political organizations, which you're a political organization, but they don't define a municipality. In other statutes, you are considered a municipality. So, but you don't have a mayor, obviously. So at this point, declaring a local emergency, I don't know, it can't hurt. And if someone finds it to be unenforceable, I'm not too concerned, because portions of the resolution, and that changes the resolution, such as the, you can adjust you can actually have the right to, when a pandemic occurs, you have the right to actually change your taxing to cover those costs. You have the right to enter into cooperative agreements with other political organizations. And so to a great extent, you can do those whether or not you're a municipality or not, because they use the term municipality once, and everywhere else they use the term political organization. So the point being is that you can adopt a lot of this and it would be valid simply because you are a political organization, you have the right to do this.
So, I guess I'll ask this question. So, because of its non-defined municipality, would it not be prudent for us to proceed with this resolution and also reach out for other things that we have to do, we have to go to Ramsey County if we wanted to do pull tabs or do whatever else we did. Take this, give it to the Ramsey County Commissioner and take that with them, and then we've done it, and leave it in their hands, whether they want to say, yes, you can, no, you can't, and straighten it out. but it
Yeah,
would-
I mean, it can't, well.
it can't hurt.
It can't hurt, and, and again, portions of this, you do have the power to approve anyway, so.
But to do it in private without taking it further, it's just, it doesn't, I mean, it's fine, but I just think if we give it to the county people, who we have to go to for a lot of things, it seems like, it just doesn't hurt us.
No, no.
And it would really, they should support this, if this is a right decision.
And
I was going to ask, the intent is to do the right thing here. Does that give you any weight at all? If somebody wants to parse this later on and say, well, technically, you're not
it
this, you're
does.
not that.
It does, because you are doing the right thing.
Okay.
And plus, the fact, as I said, there are certain, especially when it comes to the sharing of resources with other, municipalities, other, you have the authority to do that. And so from that standpoint, yeah, that is valid. That portion is valid.
I think the President of the United States said that we are in uncharted waters in a lot of this, and things will be decided down the road, so we should make what we consider prudent decisions without exceeding the framework that we're working with. So this makes sense to do this.
And one other point too, to a great extent, how you handle your, the affairs of the township, you don't need to do this. I mean, you did, last Thursday we did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't need to. And you have the right. There's nothing that says you have to adopt this for the sole purpose of determining how you're gonna run your office.
So we don't need to pass
We
this
don't
to
need to do
cancel
it.
meetings?
No,
Okay.
you don't.
Well, good.
Other than the fact you do have to, either you, Ed, or I have to declare a pandemic. You wanna flip a coin?
Well, since it doesn't specifically say town board chair, it probably should be Chad. I mean, it says mayor, or I guess head of a
Well, no,
political.
that's for the for the, I'm thinking for the meetings.
I think
for the
it has
meetings.
to come
Oh,
from the
Pat,
board.
for the meetings.
Okay.
Meeting is.
Then Ed should.
It
Yeah,
has to come
Ed,
from the
yeah.
board.
I think
it
the
should
town
come from
board
the
chair
township.
should personally, but.
Okay, so,
I can't anyway, because
I
the
want-
name's not right.
I want him to go to, I want him to go to prison.
Yeah, this Prudon with two Ds. He's
Oh,
going.
darn, he doesn't
Well,
exist.
we will edit an appropriate resolution for your signature. Couple things to keep in mind going forward. Actually, yeah, two things that I think are very impactful is from our conversation with Ramsey County today, and I don't know if it came across in the electeds meeting, but Ramsey County is preparing to go off-site with all their services. They're coming up with an operations plan that closes all their facilities and administrative services are accessed off-site. That means they're gonna be not staffing their offices, they'll be performing functions from home as best they can.
Oh.
They're coming up with a new plan for that. Did they mention that?
Yes, they called it the Rapid Public Service Response.
That's what it was.
To provide remote services for the protection of their employees and for the public,
Okay,
enclosing facilities.
pretty much. And the other thing is too, I might have mentioned it before the EDA meeting had started, is that we received notification from Anoka Hennepin Schools today that in accordance with the governor's statement on Sunday about closing schools through the 27th, they are requesting that their educators come up with a distance learning plan, long-term. So we are expecting that this is going to go longer than the 2 weeks with the school closing. That being said, I'm wondering what we have as recourse between now and the 6th, if things change drastically, to adopt an operations plan where staff performs functions off-site. Do we need to call an emergency meeting of the board to discuss this? Do we just do kind of what we did last Thursday?
When you say off-site, you're talking telecommuting.
Essentially, yes.
Who is,
The technical capability.
Yes, we
of
do. We are in the queue with Roseville IT to accommodate our request to do so. So they will give us network access, they will forward telephones to whomever it is that we designate. We're in the queue for that request, so I put that in last week just in
Yeah,
case.
but there was some also discussion that some of our staff don't have internet access at home.
Yeah.
So that
And that's a problem.
hinders them from working at home.
That's a problem.
Yes, it would be, yeah.
so you, in this document, we comment on the Town of White Bear Emergency Management Team. I've never heard of the White Bear Township Emergency Management Team. Who is that?
The clerk treasurer is the emergency manager.
Okay, well, who's the team?
The clerk treasurer is the emergency manager.
I have a reason for asking that. And the reason for that is if it involves you, the town board chair, and our town attorney to make that decision about what you just talked about, I'm comfortable having that group
Okay.
do as much without, it doesn't need board approval. I'm just comfortable with those people. It gets too broad after a while, but I don't know governmental-wise if we can do that.
I would add one other, Public Works Director, too. That's in the
He's probably-
statute.
No, yeah, that's fine. I don't know, to convene a board to make a decision to have your staff work remotely doesn't seem sensible. That's why you have emergency
Because
response
it's so
team.
fluid too, you may have to do that in an hour's notice.
Right.
You don't have time to post.
So I
public
guess where I'm
meeting.
going with that is if you have a team established, as a board member, I am comfortable that you make the decisions on behalf of township structure, day-to-day functions, doing that as a team. I don't know, that's my thoughts, but you guys talk about it.
One other thing, too, you have an ordinance from 1962. It's your public, well, basically, what is the old civil defense ordinance. And what you did is what the town did back then, they simply adopted a White Bear system, and that was it. So you're already tied into White Bear, based on ordinance 14.
And the city was closed. So that changed from Friday. They were gonna try to accommodate,
License Bureau?
yeah, they were gonna try to do, appointments. But, from what Ellen said today, it sounds like they're closed.
For how long?
She didn't say indefinite.
Wow.
Most of these are
I
indefinite.
heard they were trying to schedule 3 20-minute meetings per hour.
Yeah.
And from the lines I've seen, they'll never catch up, especially with real IDs coming up for renewal. That's going to be a handful.
We are lucky in a sense that we're a different animal than a lot of the surrounding city halls in terms of the services we provide. We do have some seasonal and seasonal deadlines, annual deadlines, but we don't have that constant traffic like you're talking about.
Well, it was brought up also in the meetings because of like dog licenses are
Yeah.
up now, so that's usually a walk-in type of thing, and
We are sending notification to license holders that we're closed and that we can help you out by phone or email.
You said we have people that can work remotely, so they in the office today, and all of you, Dale, Tom, you have laptops that you can take home, or are they expected to use their own equipment, or do we have to go out and lease equipment?
They can take their laptops home.
They all have them?
The only shortcoming we have is one employee does not have Wi-Fi or internet access.
but if that's, is that a hardship for one employee to stay in the office?
No, and actually, that
Probably
would be part of our discussion, if it came to that, is coordinating someone who should be on site,
Right.
one person, for logistics purposes.
Because there are just some things you can't do from home. You
That's right.
have to-
Yep. Unless everybody wants to start hauling file cabinets home with them.
No.
Good thing there's less of them now than there were a year
Correct.
ago.
But again, I'll go back to what I asked, though, for the Town of White Bear Emergency Management Team.
Yeah.
I asked if you guys would think about having a team, the chair, those three over there. Scott, I don't know what your thoughts are, but if situations have changed by the hour, I don't think we need necessarily make those decisions. Not that I'm afraid to, I just think it's cumbersome.
I agree.
And we wouldn't be violating serial meeting law if we told them one at a time and it wasn't asking for them to make a decision. It was just informing them of what we've done. We're safe that way.
That's right. As long as you're not making a decision based on what you've been told, it's not a serial meeting.
Okay.
It's not a serial meeting with the chair and you three together?
So we can.
Because the chair by himself is not a
A quorum,
quorum, exactly.
okay. So I guess.
You mean I can't vote twice?
It's not Chicago.
So, if this thing is, if we go with this and it's published, I just want to go on record that the White Bear Emergency Management Team needs to be defined. So whoever it is, because the public deserves to know who is this management team.
Well, I agree with you. This is done pretty quickly.
And I think it's accurate. I think that you need a small group to make decisions. That if you wait for 25 people to get together and make a decision, it doesn't happen. You need to be rapid. because things are changing quickly.
Can
So
this
you
be
should
a
have a
fluid
resolution.
document too, that we could obviously add to as we go, or is this cast in stone, or?
Well, it's not
It's a
cast in stone,
declaration,
it's a declaration, yeah, no,
essentially.
this is, it's a declaration, so it doesn't really.
Yeah, it's not a resolution, it's not an ordinance, it's not a statute, it's not a law, it's a declaration of what we're gonna do in the meantime while we're in extraordinary circumstances.
While we're trying to figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah,
Now, you can always call you can always do an emergency meeting, but unfortunately, you have to give 3 days' notice.
No, and it's not very much of an emergency.
might not be
after 3
practical.
days, no.
Well, let me, in fact, tell you what, let me double check.
Emergency be over.
Well, yeah.
yeah.
No, not for, I'm sorry, I have to withdraw that. It's not for emergency meetings, you don't have the 3-day notice period for that, it's only for special meetings. I apologize for
Okay,
that.
what's the requirement? Is there any for an emergency meeting?
None. It says notice shall include the subject of the meeting, proposed and published is not required, so no, you can do anything you want.
I think I read that in the Township magazine once, that emergency meetings, you can waive the 3-day requirement.
Yeah.
But you can't do special meetings, but it has to be for some imminent emergency, such as they used, I think, a dam breaking out in some rural area, and they called an emergency meeting of the board to authorize someone to come and fix it.
I'm just very impressed
Yeah.
that the state of Minnesota had enough foresight to devise a statute that anticipated a pandemic for us to at least have a little bit of framework.
Gotta give them credit.
Yep, to work in. So, action steps are to postpone the 3 meetings, cancel, or for the rest of this month, being Park Board, Planning Commission, and the Executive Board on the 27th, and reevaluating as we go along.
Could the recommendation to evaluate whether we should meet, should be the White Bear Emergency Management Team?
Recommendation from them?
Yes.
Sure.
And should there be a
And we,
timeline set on that? Do we
And we-
review every week? Do we review every?
if something comes up on a day, we'll have to take it into consideration.
I got that, but should we have something at least scheduled? So if nothing's happening, we still get up to date.
Your next meeting should be April 6th.
That's, and if you want to do a meeting in between, that wouldn't be a bad idea, because then you could always set the date now, and that would satisfy the 3-day notice requirement, if anyone even raises the issue.
So let's see what our dates look like.
I'm not trying to give you more meetings, but you're the
You
chief.
just canceled a couple.
Maybe we
I
make,
got a Oklahoma meeting, I gotta see if they're gonna cancel.
I would imagine.
maybe the 25th, which is a Wednesday. We schedule another get-together during the day.
What day?
The
Wednesday, the
25th is a
25th.
Wednesday,
Oh, I thought you said 26.
because we're meeting on the 6th, anyway, as town board. And I would also add, during our discussion last Thursday, Chad, Ed, and I, we also determined that it would, and I don't even know if it's applicable now, Chad, we were gonna limit our agendas to basically paying bills.
Yeah. It kind of, yeah, I think that's kind of a moot point now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, to satisfy that piece, if Ed comes to the township offices and signs those things, I can come at a different time and sign them, my part of it.
Okay,
So, I mean, we can
okay.
keep that process.
But does it have to be done in an open meeting? Does it have to be, payment of the bills has to be done in an open meeting, doesn't it, Chad?
It has to be approved, yes, you have to approve the
Right.
resolution, yeah.
So if we're gonna have an open meeting,
Oh.
all 3 of us are supposed to be there, I suppose. Or at least 2 of us.
Well, no, remember, you can always do that, you can always hold it, as long as one of you is there.
Oh, and then a
Pat and,
voice.
and I'll clarify if it's just,
Okay.
how that, because again, the statute on its face, is not particularly clear,
Municipality rules, whatever that is.
yeah.
I think whatever we decide to do, we should, with this proclamation, we should share it with our Ramsey County
Okay.
folks. Because the state seems to have in past, not that they follow that all the time, but want our approval through the county, like for some of those things we've had to do.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, because,
And they say, what are you doing coming to us? Gotta come to somebody.
yeah.
All right, so as of tonight, do you want a motion to accept this proclamation?
subsequent to attorney edits and review.
Yeah.
And then you would probably have to come by and sign it, Ed. I also would add to the recommendation, the postponement of the 3 boards that we spoke about.
Yep.
Park Board, Planning Commission, and the Executive Board on the 27th. I also would add to that a motion that schedules, I don't know if you want to call it a special meeting on the 25th, to where we can get together and review what's going on or what hasn't gone on, hopefully.
You have to call it a special meeting because it's not part of regular meetings.
Okay.
We don't have a choice.
What, I mean, Larry?
Another item we just talked about tonight was the resolution ordering advertisements for bids for a project, and in the resolution, we call for the bids to be received, and they're read out loud on the 15th, so it's a little ways out, but we could we could send out the bids with this in mind, but we could do an addendum to change the location or look at electronic bids. I know other people in our offices are exploring electronic bidding of their projects, but it's complicated, and the company that does it is overloaded right now.
Okay.
So they can't even get through, but
Larry, it's a good point, but as long as we have 3 days' notice of where the meeting's gonna be and when the meeting's gonna be, we're okay. We've met the requirements, so. I leave it on the 15th, and if we need to change it,
okay.
something happens.
Tom
we
had
do it.
something.
Yeah, just a reminder that the board had scheduled a special meeting on the 31st for the South Shore Boulevard Lake Links Trail. Moot point, that's been postponed now until, I believe, May at the earliest, so just point of clarification.
Is everybody good with getting together on the 25th?
That's what I was gonna ask you, is that include Scott and I?
That's all of us, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and first thing in the morning, I hope?
if you want, sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my tennis is canceled, so it doesn't matter.
What time do you wanna do it?
Yeah, just pick a time. And where.
Because I'm, after 11 or so, I'm,
When you
I
say
got,
first thing,
Want
like
to do 8 a.m.?
8 a.m.?
works for me.
It is.
Okay, so.
You can all, appear telephonically,
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna do it telephonically?
We can if you
You
like.
can if you want, just as long as one of you is there, right now, as long as one member of the board is there, we're fine.
It matters not to me. And what is the purpose of this meeting? Just to get updated?
Yeah, we might not even have to have it.
Right.
So here's what I would suggest. We book it for 8 a.m. that morning. If the night before, nothing has occurred that requires board review or approval, the clerk can just contact you and say that it's canceled.
Yeah, canceled.
Postponed.
Postponed.
So you have conferencing, like the deal today was, here's a phone number, and here's your meeting code number to put in, and you're right into the meeting. You have that all?
We don't have the code number and everything, but we have the ability to have a conference
So you
call.
could set that up?
Sure.
I mean, I think this would be a good practice run for doing it remotely personally.
Good idea.
You know, I'm not afraid to come in. I'm just wondering if there's nothing to discuss, we still should connect up just to see how it works.
It's a good idea.
And this would be done at the town offices on
Town
Hammond
offices,
Road.
8 a.m.
Hammond Road.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll do it by phone if you can set me up so that, just to see it works.
I would probably like to do that, too.
Okay.
by phone.
I'll be there.
You'll be there? All right.
I
Satisfy
can barely
the
make this thing
requirement.
turn on, much less we try to talk to you guys.
And as part of this, Dale is on who's gonna be at this meeting? I mean,
Well,
remotely.
Ed, Chad, me, and Dale will be there.
Okay,
Yeah.
could Dale, just for the purpose of this meeting, call in remotely to see how if it works from his office, wherever, just to see how we get remote connections in?
I do conference calls quite
Oh,
often.
you're used to it? Okay, maybe it'll work better. I'm just trying to try out the process.
I'm not saying it's not a challenge sometimes, but yes, I do. I've done
My
it.
challenge was today, I kept putting the participation number in wrong. It kept saying, you're not eligible. I forgot one digit. But, so I'll do it by phone, just
I
give me
think
the
this is a good start, you guys. I'll pray every night that we don't have to adjust more of our lives here, meaning that we have to react to something that's major. But I'm a realist too, in that it's not heading in a positive way right now. So,
All right, well, let's get back to the basics here. We need a motion for the special meeting at 8,
Let's do them one at a time. That one?
yep, at 8 a.m.
I'll move to have the special meeting of the Town Board and Emergency Management Team at 8 a.m. Thursday, or Wednesday, March 25th at the Town Hall office on Hammond Road. Is that fair enough?
that's good.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we need a motion to accept the Town of White Bear proclamation declamation with the attorney's
Corrections.
corrections.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And do we need a special motion for canceling those meetings?
No,
All right.
we'll just do it.
And, Mr. Chair, can we also add name the Town of White Bear Emergency Management Team? So
sure.
there is actually, because I don't know if this ever gets published, but if it gets published, they should know who these people are. And so I want to formally acknowledge that we have a team in place.
And that's a good point, because you can't have a team unless the board appoints it.
Yes, well, I'll move to appoint the Town of White Bear Emergency Management Team members as our Public Works Director, Dale Reed, our Town Chair, our Clerk Treasurer, excuse me, Pat Christopherson, our Town Attorney, Chad Lemon, and our Town Board Chair, Ed Perdon.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I had a point,
You want to have anybody else?
no, but I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Megan, are you available on the morning of the 25th? I didn't even think about that.
I'm still at work. No?
Oh, sure.
Can maybe,
Okay.
skip for a couple hours.
Or we can record it.
Record, give it to you, yeah.
Yep,
We'll keep in touch.
okay.
All right, that cover it?
That's all, Mr. Chair. Want some
Oh, I know
more?
what's gonna ask. Is this something we will post on the web?
Yes.
You're supposed to,
On our,
actually.
Yep.
okay.
Also post who the team members are, because if it's posted, they're going to ask, who is this people?
Well, it should be if he,
Well, you can just I'll just
obviously,
put that in the declaration.
if he redoes this.
Yeah, you probably don't even have to put names, you probably just put positions.
I would think that'd make more sense.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
it's-
actually,
Then
would,
that
just
stays
in
It's a
case-
living document then.
Fluid,
In
yeah.
case something happens.
Yeah.
Okay, that it?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Board.
All right, moving on. Item 10, open time. I sent everybody home. All right, item number 11, I need a motion for receipt of agenda materials and supplements.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:57.